Welcome to my session on mastering enterprise agility. I'm sorry I couldn't think of a better title. We couldn't think of a better title because I'm doing this with my colleague Mark Summers, because we actually don't know what this thing is or will be, actually, and we don't really want to kind of put it in a box. It's hard to put things in boxes, right? Well, maybe it's easy for some people, but for us it's quite hard. I think Matthew, you know what I'm talking about. So moving on, thank you to our sponsors, of course, whom without we would be nothing. A little bit about Beliminal. I'm not going to go into this too much detail. So we've been going since 2016. They're my partners. We've been working in agile ways of working for many, many years. Primarily kind of with Scrum and agile ways of working in transformations in organizations. Much of my experience has been within transformations. Working as either early in the days as a Scrum Master product owner, but very quickly after a couple of years into agility in about 2006, moving to the BBC, where I really earned my stripes as an agile coach, like in the hardest way possible, which was interesting and fun. But you know, having the ability to work with some amazing people, many of whom have gone on to do some amazing things and working with amazing organizations and actually set up things themselves. I'm very proud to have been part of their journey. We do agile stuff and organizational change and design, basically. So what is this about? One of the things I've really been troubled with over the years, when I say troubled with, I would say very early on, a few years into my agile career, was this idea of what change actually means and what change means through the lens of agile ways of working. Now, many of us have heard of agile scaling. We've heard of frameworks like SAFe and LESS and Nexus and other scale frameworks, and none of them really connected with me very well. Not to say that there's a problem with any of them or they have an issue. It just mainly, they feel too rigid, too fixed, right? They feel like you need to do things a certain way, and they actually often felt procedural to me. Agile was never is not procedural, of course, and it never was meant to be, but I felt it's been hijacked by not people in those spaces, but certainly in terms of the context of industry. We can't seem to let go of the 19th century management principles, right? Living in the past, and today we're having conversations, how do we bridge that gap? So over the last sort of 15 years, when we've talked about agile change, we've talked about scaling and scaling frameworks, and that has a problem for me. And I'm not going to read everything that's on that slide. I'm going to kind of read around it, but it's what we've kind of come to, and when I say we, it's primarily my colleague Mark Summers and myself over the years. We came to this idea that really what we've experienced in organizations are tensions. Tensions on all levels, on every level. Doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. There are tensions, and then there are ways to alleviate those tensions. There's problems to solve, and there are experiments to be run. So in the 2017 Copenhagen retreat, Agile coaching retreat, some of you attended the Agile coaching retreat in Dubai last year. Last year? Yeah, yes, you did. Of course you were there. November last year. My memory's terrible, right? I was there as an organizer and I can't remember when it happened. Shameless plug, we are doing a regional Scrum gathering on the 12th of October. But anyway, that's coming later. I created with 5 other people, myself, Tom Reynolds, who's in my group, Falk Kullner from Germany, Craig Pearson, and Michael Kononiko. 5 of us created something called the Enterprise Agility Principles. They are not in here, by the way, but that's what we started with. This idea of, if we were agile coaches, these are from 2017, what do we do when we arrive into organizations? What are the motives? What are the change initiatives we need to think about? So this is where this comes from. So we've developed this idea of tensions and patterns, or the Enterprise Agility Framework, through this. So Mark and I have been working on this. It's not finished. It never will be finished, actually. It's just an offer, really, to people out there. So they're based on 2 principles. The first principle is the idea of continuous participatory change. What do we mean by that? We essentially mean when we change in organizations, or we want to change in organizations, it's all of you that create the change, and it's all of you that make change happen. Not someone sitting on the 20th floor, or not some manager sitting somewhere and expecting you to do something. You all have to have skin in the game. Does anyone know what I mean by skin in the game? Think about you when you've created something, whatever that might be, and we've experienced that actually throughout the few days. When you create something, it's very powerful. It's something that's yours, no matter how great it is or it isn't in reality. Even if it fails, it doesn't matter. It's something you've created. So continuous participatory change is huge. And organizational design focuses on people-centric ways of working. And what that really means is, again, whatever experiments you run, you aim for that organizational design through people. So you've got this, it's a wheelhouse thing, right? We've seen many of those. If you've got better ways to kind of present this, please tell us, because we would love to hear it. But for now, we've got the kind of main vision at the top. We've got the two principles on the left, two driving pillars on the left and the right. And these here are what we consider as 8 or 9 principles for enterprise agility. These are things that have been borrowed from the original 10 principles, but we've distilled them, surveyed them, and essentially come down to these sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the idea is they're not set in stone, but they are governing principles. Now let me just share what I mean by principles. A principle is an idea that's a fundamental belief or a truth in the system. A principle is exhibited by behaviors which then change mindsets, right, in organizations or in systems, whatever they may be. So, and you can play around with those words in any which way you want, but really what we're saying is principles are a belief system that are only ever made to be realized or come true when we change our behavior, right, on a human level in organizations. That could be talking to someone kindly in the organization, not having a toxic behavior. Often we talked about culture here, right, over the last few hours. To me, culture is great. It's a great word. It's often overused. I prefer to see organizational culture as a personality in the organization. So what's the personality of that organization? If it's a toxic personality, if we personify that organization and I'm entering into that organization, then if I'm not so strong-willed or I don't have thick skin, I'm going to take on that toxic personality myself. I am going to become what the organization is. And who drives the organization? We all do, right? So that's kind of where the essence of this is coming from. So we're going to focus primarily, I'm going to kind of whiz through this because I do want you to experience what this is. So there's an experiential element to this. I can't remember what slide's next. Oh, it's that slide. Okay. So what is this? What is the Enterprise Agility Wheel? This is the heart of that of the Enterprise Agility Change initiative. And rather than focusing on scaling frameworks, scaling patterns, forced change, all we're really offering here is from our years of experience collectively and also serving people in terms of organizations we've worked in and what we've collected over the years. Mark and I have distilled this into sort of 8 categories that we feel are really important for organizations to focus on, right? 8 core categories. People, advocacy, and people. I'm not going to. I'll kind of roughly talk through all of them because they're important for your. There is a primer behind this which you can download at the end of the course. At the end of the session, it'll give you Freudian slip. It'll give you more of an insight into what I mean by these. But the 8 segments in the middle, the core elements: people, advocacy, well-being, governance, structure, purpose, customer value, adaptation, and execution, we believe are at the heart of what most organizations are trying to get better at. The question is, how do you get better at them, and what are they? Now, the subsections there are really just to give you a sense of, they're kind of higher categories under which a number of patterns and tensions sit, but I'm not going to go through all of those. Advocacy and people well-being kind of go together. We were talking about mastery earlier. Matthew, you were talking about that. Getting better at things, enjoying your work, being able to offer up opportunities of change. Some of the best transformations I've worked in, 2 things I would say that summarize a really amazing transformation. Things that I would say are successful, where I can measurably, demonstrably say we got better at something over a period of time, whether that's releases or whether that's well-being surveys or people reducing staff churn, really going for the business issues, was a leadership sponsor, usually very, very senior, who understood agility and change and the deeper elements of organizational design, and people being part of that change. Some of the best ones were people on the ground, the developers, the teams, actually working with leadership, senior leadership, in iterations, let's say, to solve problems. People they wouldn't have not been exposed to in any other way. So you can use this tool in many different ways. Health assessments, you can use it to kind of share structured workshops with leaders. pilot and design, design and then pilot experiments, which is kind of the way we're going with it. We're not setting anything in stone. You can use it however you want to use it. It's, you can do whatever you want. You can create service out of it. We haven't decided what it is or what it should be. It's kind of left to people to decide. But what it can do is it can help define experiments through the most important tension in your organization. So, moving on, what I'm going to do. So behind the wheel, as I said, there's a primer that describes all these, but there are a bunch of tensions that we've identified that are really important. Some of them are listed there, but I actually have tensions on, I think 4 tables potentially. This is one whole set of tensions on 4 tables. I'm going to try and get you mixed up into groups. What are tensions? These are kind of sticky elements in your organizations, things that stop you moving forward, but they go down to the root cause of the problem. The idea behind the tension is to identify, okay, what's really going on here? Let's be really transparent and let's be really honest. Let's solve that real tension before we move on. And the answer isn't always one thing. It could be a number of things. So, for example, lack of accountability or no time to improve. I'm just going, constantly going. It could be anything, right? Now, these tensions, what you'll be doing in a moment is you'll be observing these tensions. You might coalesce around these tensions in a self-organizing team, but you will decide which of these tensions really fit into the wheel. So it's up to you. There's no hard and fast rule. You might think, well, actually, this tension feels it's more around structure for my problem. Okay, then what you would do is you would take that and move on to the patterns. Now, these aren't exhaustive. We've created a bunch of patterns which generally sit in each segment area, and these are patterns that you can use to discuss and therefore agree on what those experiments would be. So, we're always on the hunt for more patterns, different ones, and changing things, but for now, these are the kind of patterns we've got. We've got, the table on the front there has all the patterns on the card, so you're going to then choose the patterns that you think are relevant. So let's say you choose purpose. Ultimately, my tension or our tension is focused on purpose. You would choose the cards that are relevant to purpose, the patterns cards, and then you would read them, reflect on them, decide which patterns maybe fit which are right to create an experiment. And the final phase of this is the actual template, the experiment template, which I do have copies of, which you would then work with each other to design an experiment. And the intention here is when we do this with organizations or leaders, the intention here is you're choosing one thing to change, but you're hopefully choosing something that's a root cause. You're hopefully choosing one or more patterns that you believe will solve the problem, and you're committing to an actionable experiment to get that feedback. Now, what we're doing here is we're not focused on this is what we're going to do now. We are doing, sprints. Hooray, we're going to do sprints, and let's do that for 6 months. This is about let's run the experiment and get feedback. What does that actually mean? Making sense so far? Okay, good. Thumbs up. Okay, so ignore everything on the right because I've changed that now. But generally what you're going to do is you're going to work together and I'm not going to decide, all I have is 4 tables. You don't have to sit around 4 tables. The 4 tables have different sets of tensions on them. You will walk around those 4 tables as groups, and you will read the tensions, you will kind of play around which ones you want, and you might decide, talk to each other of course, and you might decide to coalesce around a particular tension. Maybe 2 from this table and 1 from that table, and say, okay, this is actually really important to me, this is happening in my organization. So create and form groups. I'll decide on the time box, but around about 10 minutes or when you eventually done. When you say you're done, you'll say we're done. But when you're done, once you agree on that tension, you will think to yourself, which one does it fit in? Is it governance? So governance are things like policies, our decision-making abilities, our ability to kind of get things done, process control. That can mean different things for different types of organizations. Deeper regulated organizations versus not, and so on. Structure, we are talking a lot about hierarchy, but what about powerarchy, right? Hierarchies are not necessarily negative. Powerarchies, I just made that up, I don't know if it's a word, but hierarchy with power, I have to go up 10 levels to get this box of tissue signed off to buy, and then come 10 levels down. I think some of you know what I mean. How can we decentralize decision making, and how does that structure fit in? Purpose speaks for itself in terms of our direction and strategy. Customer value, how really focused are we in terms of understanding value, but also understanding whether that value fulfills needs. Adaptation, just getting better at changing, right? We talk about agile ways of working and change. How good or how well are we, good are we at changing? Execution, getting things done in terms of workflow, communicating with each other. People advocacy, allowing people to take ownership of their own work. We talked a lot about that as well. Give people that autonomy. And the last one is well-being, the whole elements around psychological safety. So you decide which your tension will go into, and then after that I'll introduce each section, but then you will choose the relevant pattern cards, you will agree on the patterns you want to use, and then you'll define an experiment. Make sense?
One incident can go to multiple patterns, right?
It could, multiple segments of the wheel, but what you will decide is just choose one. Which one does it best fit into, just for now, as an experiment, right? Is that clear? So I'll give you 10 minutes to start with. Stand up. There are 4 tables here with the tension cards on them. Walk around them, pass them around, see which ones you like, see which ones are relevant to you, and then choose one. You might decide to do it yourself, that's fine, or you might decide to coalesce around a group, okay? And feel free to shout things out. I've got one here that says this. Anyone interested in pairing with me? Okay? I'll start the timer.
You have too many tensions.
Yes, there are lots. I'm sorry to say there are lots. And that's only one table. There are actually 4 other tables with them. The best way to do this is don't just read them and walk around and see. Look, if you don't get to read all of them, that's fine. Don't worry about it. If you find one that you really love or you think is really important, then you can stick to that one. Man, there are so many. We may even have to pare these down, even, you know, there are so many of them. But these are valid tensions. They're different, yeah. They're all different. So this table has different, that has different. Feel free to walk around other tables. If you decide to stick to your table, that's also fine. Don't worry about it. Can you, like, you know, these action shots where they're holding the cards? They're really cool shots. That would be really nice, yeah. Yeah, like when they're playing around. If you need clarification on any, let me know. If you think just the vital one would be good just to focus you down, but if you think 2 of them live together, that's also fine. That's also okay. All I don't want you to do is say, oh, there are like 100 tensions here, I need to choose. You have to pick one. You can't like pick all of them. Think about your organization as well. What is really bothering you in your organization? What is really stressing you out, right? And you might be very passionate about it. Looks like you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, because of your face.
Yeah.
So you could, before I answer your question, you could then say, I've got this one here. Does anyone want to join me? Right? But, okay, what have you got?
Micromanagement.
Yes.
And our culture is not aligned with it.
Amazing. Yeah. So if you think they are some way connected, then that would be fine.
Yeah, somehow they are. That's why I kept the both.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then that would be a discussion with either yourself, but hopefully a pair or a 3.
Yeah.
And then you would decide which area is that best solved in, right?
Okay.
Is it governance? Is it well-being? Which one is it in? And there's no right or wrong here. This is your choice.
Okay.
Right, that's the whole point. So we have micromanagement, and we're not aligned to agility here on this table. Forgive me, I forgot. It's that, Diana? Diana has that. So if someone is passionate about that, they can join Diana. We have one here, politics and turf wars. Oh, I love that one. Amazing. So you want to stick to that one? Okay. Turf wars. Yeah, we've seen that a lot, right? Politics and turf wars, yeah. Good idea. If you're happy with your one, you don't want to see the others, then you can collapse the cards and everything, yeah. We still have about 5-8 minutes, don't rush it. What have you got there? What have you got there?
I've got
Matthew?
kind of a combination of 3. Misalignment between stakeholders, structure inhibiting collaboration, and blocked by other departments.
Yeah.
So, to me, they kind of, at least
Coalesce?
they kind of coalesce in the
Yeah, yeah.
organization I've been working with. So it's kind of like
I can join on this one,
Yeah.
but I feel like I want to solve those
Okay.
before jumping to others.
So many tensions to solve. Where do we start? We don't know. Where should we start, right? This is the eternal question. Everybody needs more tensions. Yeah.
I connect with most of them, but I'm just trying to find the bigger one.
How are you getting on here? Okay. By the way, you don't have to stay in one group. You can split off, whatever. What I recommend you do is, because sometimes we can get overwhelmed, so many tensions, oh, this one and this one. So which is, if you've got lots, which is the most important one, which is the pressing one you want to solve? If you have more than one, maybe one or two that you feel are connected, that coalesce together, then you can have both of them together if you want. But try and focus around one if you can, one or two cards maximum.
Each table will focus on one or two.
It doesn't have to be a table. You can form a group with that one, yeah. Or even if you want to work on your own, your choice, right? But so you decide. So in about another 3 or 4 minutes, start forming teams around a tension or tensions. Again, it can be a single person or a pair or anything like that. You have a question?
No, trust me, I have a lot of those.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll give it another 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll kind of share what we have. Okay. You're okay. I need to. Sorry. Go on. No. I think he wants action shots. Okay. We are inflatable? Sorry, inflexible.
Yeah. We are agile.
We're agile, flexible. And they will say that in the same breath, right? Of course, we're agile. What do we need? What do we need? Anything else? But then inflexibility, tension around that. Yeah.
You want to add the other card?
Thank you, boss. Excellent. Okay, you have yours? Okay, so I think we'll do, let's do it organized in a way. So you have yours, give them a few minutes. So one table here is formed into a group. They have their tension, and we'll get them to share their tension as well. I'll give you guys another 3 or so minutes left in this section. Again, start coalescing. Do share your tensions with other tables. Just tell them this is what we have if anyone wants to join us.
This is my biggest thing.
I can choose this one.
I can choose
Which one? Go on, tell me.
Future factory.
Ah, yeah.
No vision, no strategy, no marketing research.
Yeah, just do it. No further.
Does that work with that for your change?
Actually, we have a strategy, but we forget about it throughout the year.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That's the problem.
So when I joined Sky, 2006, I joined Sky TV, mobile TV. This is before smartphones, right? So we were building, coding, supporting, project managing mobile TV for Sky TV in the UK. The first thing I had there was a card like this everywhere, 10 by 10. 10 times 10. 10 times 10. Everywhere I went, even to the washroom, 10 times 10. Like, what is this? What's 10 times 10? Oh, this is our strategy for the next 3 years. 10 million customers by 2010. Straight away, I'm building mobile TV products. That's going to create value for subscribers to then come and increase them. That's the kind of connection you need with the stuff you're doing. If you're coming into the work and you don't understand that, that's going to be a silent tension for you because you're not connected to something bigger and purpose, right?
Yeah, I think.
Good job. Good job.
Matthew. Deanna?
Yes, Steve.
Okay. We're gonna.
Yes, I
Joey's gonna go. Decide to join forces here. You guys want to join us on this one?
Okay, another 2 minutes. 2 minutes remaining.
You can do yours.
2 minutes remaining. Yeah, so where does it fit? If you've got a tension, where do you think it fits in the 8 segments here? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it will give you some alignment to the patterns that you're going to choose with your group.
The big one.
Now I should have the primer with me and give that to you, so apologies for that, but that then creates a longer session where you have to read things a bit more. But for now it's fine for you to think where you think it's right. You okay? So it could be under, well, it could be under many, right? Because limited resources. So the question I would ask you is, what is this most impacting in your organization? So what is the business issue this is causing?
Capacity and capability. Because we don't have many hats
Okay.
and minds,
Yeah.
we are not able to deliver, so not the right capability
Right.
to match the current technology and the capacity.
Okay. Capacity and capability. Okay. So that could be. My mind immediately went to execution, because that is actually getting things done, but that also connects to value, partially structure. So it would be either execution, customer value, delivering customer value.
The end result.
Yes. So understanding market strategy, investing, but also it could be connected to that. That is broader value. Maybe it's more about execution. But the beauty of this is you could try execution and you think, no, actually this isn't working. There's something going on here that isn't connected. You choose the other pack. Maybe you look at the value pack. So you still have access to do that. It's not you can't do it. Because not all patterns will work everywhere. This is an assumption that they would generally work. Yeah.
This one, the authorization takes too long. For me, that's governance.
Governance and probably execution as well, in terms of your workflow. But governance, policy and control primarily, I'd agree, yes. Yeah. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Okay. Can I just pause there for a moment? I know we're all at different speeds. If I can have your attention. Sorry to interrupt your flow, I apologize. Who here has formed a group around attention or a couple of tensions? 1, 2, 3, and 4 maybe? You're welcome. Why don't you be a butterfly? Yeah, walk around, listen in, and then join a group. No problem, no problem. Everything's fine in your organization. We want to be with you. So I'm joking. Okay, and as everyone there's no hard and fast rule. Have they aligned to one of the segments as best they can? Yeah? Or not yet?
Yes.
Yes? 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 Okay, by the way, this isn't like a rubber stamp, off you go. This is part of the experiment, right? I don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So what you do next is on the table there, I've got 2 packs of each segment. So they are the same packs. If you see 2, I'll go for a color that green, then they are the same patterns in there. Now in there are patterns. If you, let's say, choose structure, at the top it says structure, then there will be a number of patterns in there that would hopefully allow you to solve, or allow you to think about how you might solve that problem. So what we'll do next is, probably just one person from each group, come and grab a pack of cards that has the corresponding patterns for your segment that you believe to be true. Have a go and read the patterns and decide which of those patterns might work for you, one or more as in 1, 2, or 3 maximum. And then then beyond that, once you do that, we'll look at experimentation. But if that doesn't work, if you think, well, I've got a bunch of patterns here that don't work, think about, well, have we got the right segment? And do we need to get another pack of cards? If you do, if you don't mind just neatly putting those cards back so someone else can take them, and then pick another pack for you to play around with. Maybe we can make this a little bit longer. Is that clear? Off you go. I'll give you 15 minutes to start, maybe longer. The governance is these green packs. You can take the whole thing. They're all the governance patterns that we believe are governance patterns. Yeah, execution is... where's execution? It was here. Oh, here. There you go. Okay, bring them over to your team. Make some space on your tables. If you're done with the other tensions, just collapse those tensions and put them to one side. I'll do that for you. They are wordy. They do have a lot of words on them. I'm sorry.
Have we chosen the right segment, you think?
For this one?
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like these are good things to address this, or we have to get a different set of cards.
Looks like, yes, for example, this one.
Yeah, okay, good.
You might also find that you might have one from one deck and one from another deck. That's also fine as well, right? I mean, I'm not here to write the rules. We're just giving you some structure. That's all. Okay.
And remind me how you interpret this one?
These are all the same. So this is customer value. This is advocacy, people advocacy, structure. Oh, someone else has governance? Is that all right? So if, for example, let's say that you want to see governance, you can go to another table and ask for the cards, maybe if they finish with them. Yeah, you're welcome to. Or even you can read them while they're reading them as well. You okay there? Yeah.
Okay, so these are the same.
They're the same. They're just two decks. I have like a number of decks. So that if you find that someone else has taken a pack you want, go to that table and just read the cards with them. Take the whole pack. So which is your tension? And where does it connect to? Where do you think? Where do you believe?
For this one, it's definitely purpose.
Purpose.
And maybe structure.
Okay, so start with purpose. Take the whole deck. You have that, right?
For this one, it's also purpose and customer value.
Okay, then take both, and then have a look through the patterns. They're the same deck, and then play. Have a play. What was your interest? Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, David.
David, hi, I'm Zia. Good to meet you. What was your interest in coming to this session and looking around, just out of interest? Sorry, you have a question?
Sorry.
Avoid choosing too many, because you will need to run an experiment around them. But if you have 2 or 3 you really like, think of which one, maximum 2 you really want to go with. Yeah, because trying too many different things can cause it. So this is the idea, is really get you to narrow down. Sorry, David. Yeah.
Facing some of the challenges.
Yeah, I know that. That's the idea. You're just absorbing stuff. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Great. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Please carry on. Yeah. Cool.
Mind if I listen to you guys?
Yes, butterfly, right?
So we have purpose,
Those two actions. Okay, so we choose that one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Authorization takes too long. Yeah. Amazing. This is an amazing, brilliant card. Yeah. These are things like, so in our primer it talks about things like consent-based decision-making, testing objections frameworks, these kind of things, like, above and below the waterline, like, to give people power. Like Bezos said something like, if I kept making all the decisions during the transition period of growing our organization, I wouldn't get anywhere. So I have to let people say, is it going to break? He's got some rules. Is it going to bankrupt the organization? No. Are you going to learn something? Yes. Is it below $20,000? Yes. Do it. Right. So this kind of thing. Yeah.
You think much aligned with this?
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Looking at limited resources.
Okay.
Like on the
Yeah. Full systems. Yeah. Yeah. Have a read. Carry on reading. Yeah. No worries. Too many to choose from. Right?
We have two actions. Yeah, we're just trying to.
Yes, process of elimination. And yeah, there's some reading, and I know we're in a very quick workshop here, but in reality you'd have some more time to think. Yeah.
Some people are completely with, people are completely against.
I'm half and half. I don't mind OKRs. I hate nested OKRs. Like, I hate's a strong word. I dislike nested OKRs. You know OKRs, and then all the teams must have OKRs to come up. Yeah, so I prefer KPIs. I mean, if you look at Tesla's and these kind of very successful companies, apparently they use more KPIs, so I've been told. Performance indicators versus objectives, and then leading and lagging indicators, so it's more about that.
Shared by the product development. They OKRs should be shared among different functions.
Yeah. Exactly.
KPIs are dedicated for each team.
Yeah.
To monitor their own results and efficiency and functions.
Exactly, for the performance of the performance metrics. Yeah. So they can be used both consecutively. I mean, I don't have preference one or the other. Okay. Same.
We take purpose.
That's a problem, especially when a business drives things.
The way you describe this.
I think there's here in this region there's and I actually haven't, apart from the training in Egypt and 1 or 2 training courses, I haven't been embedded in organisations. Something I'd love to do, maybe just even be in an organisation for a year as an employee or something. But they don't often understand the deeper principles around why change and behavioural changes. I'm not saying you have to change the whole system, but just even if you're educated and you know why something is happening, then you're better informed to make a decision about you or the system as a leader. Often the why is all wrong, so they don't understand why. And then we chase kind of fake targets or these kind of principles which are stressful for teams. Okay, you have yours. Wow, you guys are flying through these. Brilliant. Okay, we still have some time. We have about 5 or so minutes. Feel free, don't worry about time. We can add more time. We've got plenty of time. Ideally, look, I mean, what I would recommend in this case is you try and focus on 1 or 2 things that you want to try. Ideally 1 thing, because a pattern, the idea of a pattern is, and I'll talk about this in a minute, is that it's a way of working. And it's not to say that it's fixed on there. It's loose enough in there for you to define it better for your organization. And that's where the experiment template comes in, which I'm going to give you in a moment. But when you're defining the experiment, the idea is that you want to define it around 1 thing. So for example, if you want to improve, which is your one again? Politics and turf war. So the question I'd ask you is, out of these patterns, which ones do you think will have the most impact? That's something you need to discuss. And maybe reduce it down to 2 that you think would probably have the most impact. Yeah.
So now you should use it.
Yeah. Maybe, 1 or 2, even 1. I mean, like, deep democracy is a big change. It's not a small thing. What you would do is, if you wanted to go to deep democracy, you would probably run an experiment in the organization around deep democracy, rather than doing deep democracy in 3 other things. Does that make sense? Because deep democracy you're implementing a more democratic system in governance, which usually means it's a leadership change on some level, or a leadership blessing to say, yes, it's okay to experiment or change these things. So, whereas others might be, I don't know, I'm making this up, like decentralized decision making, these are heavy topics, right? Integrated decision making, these are all transparent decision making might be different. Open agreements is a bit softer, okay? So, and this is where your organization comes in, because I don't know your organization, and if I was in your organization, I might recommend and say, okay, knowing what I know, which of these experiments might cause concern, which one might win over others.
Yes. You want that?
What do you give us?
Anyone done with you need a governance deck?
We don't want your problem, we want your solutions.
There's a, Shireen, there's a governance deck over here, if you want, part of it. These ones, these ones are free. Do you want to share those? And then you can have a read of those with them. Well, you can tell Shireen. Shireen, we have another deck here of governance.
We can use it.
We'll talk to them. But what you can do is they have 4 or 5 cards, but you can read these and also read what they have. And yeah, sure, most relevant one, yeah.
I think that's spot on, because without those, then you're just asking for the future and why are you building, and then you really get into that repetitive pattern. And I don't know if this is your situation, but I've seen it where we then become involved in the customer. Oh, they want this, what's our strategy? And to your point,
Even when it comes to figuring out what the customer needs, you can
Yes.
you need to play some about treatments
true wise.
someone
What about Thank you.
Okay, you guys done?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. If you're done, you can put the decks back where, just, make some space out, I'll sort the rest out. Just want to see if I can. Right, brilliant. Okay, PDF. Yeah, you can just put them, if you want to put them on top of purpose, it's fine. Or you can put them anywhere. Okay. So, how are we getting on? This team, you have yours? Okay. This team over here, you have yours? Okay. Can you take a seat for a moment? You're good? Okay. Team at the back? Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Let's just pause for a moment, and before we move on to the next phase, which is a final phase. Don't worry about the cards for now. It's okay. Zakib, you can take a seat, relax. I'll do that later. Let's just get some feedback on what you've just done, just in terms of the, understanding the tensions in context of the wheel, understanding the patterns that work with the tensions. What did you notice? What did you like? What did you dislike about it? Does anyone want to share their thoughts? Ladies first. Why don't you start, Diana?
Yes.
And then Bija will go to you.
Actually, multiple patterns works for same tension.
Yeah, the one tension, that's right. And the one of the biggest challenges we've had is to categorize them. Even we feel uncomfortable about this. We don't like this. It's like, but we have to give some structure at least. But then for us, is where does structure move into rigidity, right? So yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Bijoy.
Actually, exactly the same thing I want to say. There's no silver bullet, like we have to pull multiple levers to make this happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And also one thing we're grappling with over the day today, right? Certainty and uncertainty, and this conversations and side conversations I've been having with people is, we need, people want control in the organization, yet for some reason still, and this is not synonymous to the region, of course, it's all over the world, is we crave certainty. Look what's happening right now in the world in the tariff wars or the trade wars. It's uncertainty. As soon as a slight bit of uncertainty happens, everything stops, markets sink. But one piece of good news, brilliant, relief. right? That's the human condition. That's the psychology. Systems aren't organization systems aren't different. People are people. So it's about creating that environment. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other thoughts from you guys or? Why don't you start then?
Yeah, just a small thing. I've
Yeah.
noticed that some of them are like the core reason for an issue you're facing, and some others are the tool that gets you there.
Yeah.
So when it comes to customer value, it's like something that's the main reason for you to have a problem, or else when it comes to the process, it's just the way to get there. So it could be either one of the two or two where you are facing problem. So I felt like I really need to define what is the main reason behind my pain point, and not just the tool. It could not be the tool, it could be just the main reason. That's the issue.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, are you saying that there could be one reason to the issue? You could have one tension, but there could be many ways to solve that tension.
Yeah.
But they could.
For example, if I did not
Yeah.
have a good product strategy,
Yeah.
then if I look at my communication, I would say that the communication is bad or the process is bad.
Right.
Or else my real problem is the product strategy. If product strategy is fixed, then my communication is going to be automatic.
Right. So that's the kind of paradox you have, right? So this is why, I mean, it was really interesting observing you. This is common. We're like, well, actually, this kind of fits here, or it could be over here, or hang on, is that which? So I often ask, which is the? And I was having these conversations with some of you. What is that ultimate root cause of the problem? And we call it often the business issue. That's different to the business problem, right? So what is that business issue ultimately? What is stopping the organization moving forward? These are questions we should be asking leaders. We often ask leaders, like, what's stopping you moving forward? What's your motive to change? What are you identifying here? And even the conversations we're having might take us 3 steps further down from where we started, and we might change our decision around what that tension actually really is. So there is no right or wrong, or there is no kind of there is no relief, really. There's no, I find my tension. I found the pattern. Amazing, let's do this. It's not like that, right? We're kind of, the themes of all around today is that kind of idea of experimentation and being comfortable with uncertainty. But yeah, getting there and actually bringing learning forward, yeah.
I believe due to all of these patterns, the multiple patterns, so we did a lot of refinement in process in order to achieve what is the main root cause.
Yeah.
But I believe it will take normally it will take too much time.
Of course. Yeah.
To reach the main root cause. But if we reach the main root cause, we will find 2 things. The vital few and the trigger meaning. So if the organization focus on the vital few, so I believe it will make a great impact. Like the Pareto has the 80-20 rule. So we need to focus on the 20% that will give us the best impact in order to solve.
Exactly.
But firstly, we need to know to tackle the pain points, the true pain points, in order to be able to solve. And this is what. But I believe due to a lot of patterns and a lot of multiple patterns, I'm feeling that it's not realistic. It's somehow illusion. So we are going to something that might not be the main root cause.
Yeah, could be.
That's why.
It could be. I mean, we're not shy of the fact that there's probably too many here, and actually overwhelming. Like, wow, there's a lot here. So we that's our problem to think about, and maybe you guys can help with that. But the idea is these do exist. You could read each and every one of them and say, yeah, I can see how that's going to be a problem. I can see that work, that pattern being something we can fix, or these tensions being things that would work, that are challenging for us. And I think therein lies the rub, right? I think what we often find in organizations, we found when we're working with leaders, is that, we're not going deep enough. We really aren't. I mean, one small example is a broadcasting company, not the BBC, a totally different one, a hardware and software broadcasting company. They, I remember having a conversation with one of the senior directors. He was my sponsor, and I kept pushing on the root cause. And what did it come down to? Well, that's the president's in Canada, wherever, right? And we're not in Canada, we're in the UK. So I said, okay, well, there you go, right? Like, if we are finding, irrespective of whether we can do something or not, if we know that there is a boundary around that we have limitations to what we can change, then we understand what is possible and what is not. And actually, often but the point was I was trying to make to him is that we need to experiment with stuff and then show the business, show the president, so to speak, the changes we've made, right? To show that in terms of demonstrable, achievable outcomes that we can measure. Otherwise, we're just playing with a few teams around here, doing a bit of coaching over there. What is the actual deep root cause of this issue, and what are the experiments we can run? Any other thoughts from anybody? Please. And we'll get to you, Zakib. Sorry, Doctor.
It is because it is a non-linear relationship here,
Yes.
and a bit of complication as well. The root cause and the effect is not as clear as we tend to think. This is one thing. The other thing is the degree of influence and the degree of impact
Indeed.
of the patterns on the tensions and vice versa. So that relationship also is what we call sometimes a fuzzy relationship. It is not. It is more complicated. Fuzzy sex means it has so many different variables, and the degree of influence of each variable is different as well.
Of course, indeed.
And that's what we are dealing with.
Yes, we are. And of course, mathematically, would we be able to cover every single one of those variables and those scenarios? Yes, but probably it'll take us years to go through it, right? So the whole purpose of this is really considering in organizational systems, in complex systems, that there's a layer of that we have to think in the abstract. We have to think in terms of experiments, because this is kind of we've been saying that all the way through. This is kind of really what Agile are really referring to, this idea of being comfortable with experiments and bringing the learning forward, because we can't tell the future. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But what we do know is what's happening here and now, and what we know here and now. So if we are confident to actually identify something we want to change and identify a way we can change it, then that's something measurable, right? One would hope. And that's
Just one comment. I just ask about our perspective in this. Are we the increase or the leaders?
Are we the employees or the leaders?
Yeah. Which perspective we are taking?
What do you think? What do you feel is a right perspective?
I'm feeling that I'm as deeply
An employee.
yes.
Yeah.
However, I think that all the issues that we're discussing or all the problems could
Yeah.
be relevant to one reason, which is the leadership.
Leadership, yeah. Let's just blame them.
So we don't have control over.
Yeah, so let me give you a good example of that, right, Shireen, is like I said, one of the for an insurance company in the city, I remember going to them for the first time, looking at Salesforce Tower. If you've ever seen Salesforce Tower, let me see if I've got time for this story. Very quickly, I have. Salesforce Tower is a very tall building in the city of London. Read about the city of London. It's interesting history. So it's an insurance company, financial institution. I walked there and I literally did sigh. And I thought, here we go. I'm going up to the 15th floor. I'm going to meet a leader who's going to just tell me what I need to do, give me the usual lip service, and then, and I didn't want to just sit there and take their money and do nothing, right? Anyway, I got there, and the first thing he said to me was, he's a CIO. Would you mind if I just show you a presentation? He's saying to me, yeah, of course, please. Mahogany table, boardroom, all the rest of it, it's archetypal. He shows me this presentation he made to the board, and I was blown away. It was all about principles of change. It was all about experimentation. It was all the things that we would be like, as Agilists, we were like, this is amazing. I'm still in touch with him today. This was about 7 years ago. He was one of those people that, as a CIO, when we eventually formed a transformation team, and that was their choice on how they did it, we had, junior developer in the room with the leadership team every 2 weeks, junior developer, some other junior person, head of department, director. We were all mixed up, and we were all defining policy control structures. It got to the point where the CIO was even talking to me about how should he restructure the leadership team. That's the level of change he was willing to do, and everybody's not willing to do that. But what happened was the year-long experiment that we were there. After 3 or 4 months, they were going from zero deliveries, literally zero deliveries of value, to one every sprint. Happier teams, reduced staff churn, people wanting to work with the organization. And then there was a merger, and that's a whole different story. But you know, it made a difference, and it made a difference because some of the ingredients it's because people had skin in the game. So, for example, people were getting involved. They were just things, nothing that I said. They were getting involved with defining agile, I don't know, just agile definitions for their organization. That's theirs. And we were making fun of playbooks and things like that, but that's something they owned. Whatever it was they created, they owned, and they changed, and they had the empowerment to change it. So when you talk about tensions, they had the empowerment to get attention, change the tension, run some experiments and feedback, and the leadership were quite happy for them to do that. So sometimes that is a challenge. But I think the key thing here is education. If people aren't educated in your organization about agility, change, principles, whatever we think, tensions and patterns, then they're speaking from a place where they don't really understand the language, right, of the pattern language that you're referring to. They don't understand it. So that's part of the issue. Anyway, I'll pause there, well, I'll stop there because I just realized the time, and you've got one more experiment to run, or one more activity to run. So here I have, Beliminal, we created these templates, these experiment templates. For the remaining time, just for about 10 minutes or so, have a go at, based on the cards you've chosen, the tensions and patterns you've chosen, have a go at writing out an experiment. They don't have to be war and peace, they don't have to be perfect. Welcome to the session, by the way. Welcome as well. If you want to join in on a team, you can have a look at what we're doing. If you want to look at this, you don't have to do it. It's just so you can see what everyone's doing. Oh, you want one as well? Yeah, sure. Okay, so what I'll do is just design your experiment. Go through each of those steps. Doesn't have to be war and peace, just a few notes on each section. I'll give you 10 minutes and we'll have a debrief. So yeah, collaborate together. Yes.
We're not writing the problem here, right? We're writing what experiment.
This is you could call the experiment our happy blah 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 blah. You can call it anything. That's your name for the experiment. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, so you don't have, that's not necessarily the problem. But you have the dongle for your. Can I borrow it? Is that right? Just for literally 5 minutes before the end. Thank you. I had a set. The last slide I have some QR code I want people to use. So. Hey, yeah. Sorry? You came in late, so yeah. Yes, that's right. But you're welcome to have a look at the tension cards. Why don't you do this? I'll give you some tensions and patterns to play with. Have a look at those tensions. What they're doing is they were doing before. They were having a look at the tensions in organizations. They're picking one, and then they're looking at patterns to help solve the problem, and then they're writing experiments. So let me get that for you. I think you. Oh no, do you not have the USB-C? Okay, rats. Never mind. It's all right. Thank you so much. Huh? I have the. I have this one I need to put in. Oh no, what am I being? I'm being stupid, sorry. I am being extremely silly. No, I have one. Yeah, exactly, I'm being silly. Yeah, hopefully my computer doesn't shut. Yeah, exactly, thanks man. You're so helpful. Yeah, exactly. So that should now work in here. Yeah, you were right. This is 2017 though. Please work. Yes. Tensions, yeah. Sorry guys. Just for now, we're limited on time, but these aren't all of the tensions, but these are basically tensions and patterns cards that we created. I created my colleague that follows this wheel, which looks at, so rather than look at agile changes, procedural, Scrum or Nexus or all different things. That's a new one. I think I'll call it Lexus. Or less. These are kind of just looking at what are the tensions in your organizations, and then pick one, and then see which one you think it fits in. Does it fit in well-being, governance, structure, purpose, and so on? Let's do a quick experiment. And then whichever one you think it fits in, I'll bring you those cards, because we have a whole set of patterns cards for each section. Okay, so that's what we've been doing for the last 45 minutes an hour. It's all right. So no. So which one? Where do you think that fits best? So governance is about your policy decision-making approaches. Structure is about your hierarchies, your whether it's informal, the way you create value in that. Purpose. There's a whole primer behind this, basically, which you can download later. Purpose is obvious. Customer value is obvious. Adaptation, how you approach experimentation and change, and execution, workflow. Okay, I'll get you those cards. Execution. This is like a very quick version of the session. So you've chosen execution. So here are a bunch of patterns that might solve that problem. Choose one or maximum two patterns, and then walk through this experimentation template. Okay? So you can give those. You can take those cards away. Just keep the one card. There you go. Yeah. And then just read. Yeah, I'll put them here, and then you can read it. Maybe share them out or something. Yes.
So we should come with the name for the experiment.
Yes, just to give it a name. Doesn't really matter.
Who is proposing somebody?
Yes, so it could be you. So I'm the steward. The idea of a steward, rather than saying the person, the steward is someone who takes ownership of it all the way through. Yes, so the steward is someone who's taking ownership of people walking, or so it's that mindset. Yeah, in a way, sponsored project. So you don't have. I mean, if you want to fill it out, you can. You might have constrained time or something, so don't feel too much tension on filling that out. But you're welcome to. And you don't have to have lots of writing, and there could be just a few bullet points and those things. But it is quite a thorough experiment card or experiment template, which then you would use to actually run a pilot in your organisation to see what changes happen.
No, I just enjoying all of my
Are you guys in the same company? Okay. Oh, nice. Based in UAE? Oh, okay, nice. Excellent. Oh, in India. Okay. So you're based in Dubai, or okay, you flew over. Amazing. Okay. That's good. Yeah, definitely. You're a storyteller. Okay, welcome. My friend of mine is a chief storyteller in his organisation. He's my best friend actually from childhood, and we used to have conversations a lot about he started his propositions analysis, so he used to work with leadership teams to define propositions, and now what he does is he works with leadership teams to kind of define stories for bids. So he doesn't let them off lightly. They'll say, do this presentation in 2 days. It's like, no. You're going to go through my storytelling process, and we're going to walk through it and actually tell a story to connect with that. So that's something as a consultancy we're not very good at sometimes, but he's awesome at it. He's made a lot of money. Yeah. Nice, yeah.
And they're experienced to change.
Of course they are. Yeah.
And so I'll make it okay. I make it okay to start this day.
That's amazing, yeah.
Okay, we're communicating this today.
Yeah.
Things might change, and that's okay. That's the way nature of change.
Yeah.
This is, they want that if I communicate this today,
Yeah. Yeah. That's learning.
yeah, so yeah, it's an interesting space.
And are you is it your own consultancy or are you full time in it? So you do that. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Very specialist, very niche. And then the other thing we use is also Agile and organisational. So I think success stories.
Oh wow, that's
Tech
good.
change, uniting, Agile.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. 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 I had to be, I say had to be, I was at that time, I didn't actually get certified. Yeah.
I'm not technical.
Yeah.
But so my
Yeah. Amazing. Brilliant. Well, we should catch up definitely if you're around. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Oh, Aaron, good to meet you. See you. Okay. So we'll connect on LinkedIn and stuff. I'm Dubai based. Yeah, I've been for a couple of years, but I'm intending to stay. Yeah, I'm Dubai based. Yeah. UK.
Okay, because the reason I assumed you're UK because of your accent.
Yeah.
Are you around after?
Sorry?
Are you around after?
Yeah, I'm around. Well, yes, I am. So the idea was to, I travel around a lot, but I live in Dubai. But the idea was to kind of see what it looks like, to see what the consulting landscape looks like here for our organisation. But there's other things going on now with the organisation and other things. I mean, let's just face it: the agile ways of working is not as prolific as it used to be. So the contracts we were getting 2, 3 years ago, no one's getting them now from San Francisco through to Shanghai, maybe, I don't know, but they're not. And London in between. My colleagues are in London. Yeah, I've got a session. Okay. Just in the interest of time. We finish at 4. We finish at 40, right? 4:50. Oh, so we're 10 minutes. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so we've got some more time then. Brilliant. Who is close to finishing the experiment? Who needs more time? 5 minutes or so?
We need
5 minutes or so? Let's do 5 minutes because I'd really like to spend some time talking about this stuff, right, with you guys and reflect. 5 minute max time box. Just about 2 or so minutes to finish off. Okay, if you can finish up the one you're on, the section you're on, don't worry if you've not finished all of it. You can take it away if you want to. Just another minute or so to finish off, and then we'll just do a close up before we. Sorry? I don't think, I did this as a keynote with like 150 people, and they misheard me, and every single table started sharing all their experiments. They were so excited, and after about 3 I had to say, like, you have to stop it because I'm going to run out of time. But so maybe what we'll do is won't share all the experiments, we'll just get highlights of what we learned and that kind of thing. But yeah, high level sharing, good. Yeah, good idea. Okay. If I can have your attention just to finish up. Thank you for doing this. It is a lot of effort for an afternoon to think through deep tensions and challenges. Maybe I was hoping my session would be in the morning, to be honest, but it wasn't. Well, not early morning, but there we go. It is where it is. So, if we had more time, I'd love to learn a lot of detail about all your experiments. I think what would be nice is to just literally for like 20 seconds per table, give a headline of the kind of experiment that you're running, just a 20-second headline, and then we'll go into just a reflection on the process, kind of what you thought, challenges, advantages, is it realistic to do in your organization or not? Let's have a discussion. So just start with this table here. What was your experiment, just a high level?
Yes, so our culture is not aligned with agility.
Okay.
So as a description, we apply waterfall under the agile.
Okay, so Agile or whatever it's called, yeah.
Yeah.
Agile in sheep's clothing,
So
or waterfall clothing.
We do. We talk a lot about the customer satisfaction, and that's it.
Right.
Our focus is the deadline, is the time, is the date.
Yeah. The date. Okay.
So that's
and your experiment is roughly, like, just very basically, what is the experiment you want to run?
The experiment is the tension behind delivering on time, forgetting about the MVP, forgetting about the customer satisfaction, and eventually the quality standards are.
Yeah. And what's the pattern that you were kind of leaning towards to try? OKRs.
Yes.
Okay. So looking at objectives, focused, okay, that kind of thing, and key results, yeah. Okay, thank you. Wonderful, thank you, Diana. This team?
Yeah, so our tension was basically politics and turf wars.
Turf wars.
Yes. So we are designing a duration of 6 months to a year to see if we can change this. And primarily the proposal is definitely to have decentralized decision making and integration decision making.
Okay, don't go through the whole thing, it's just high level, yeah.
Yeah. So what our expected result would be more collaboration, more decentralized decision making, and more customer satisfaction.
Okay.
And primarily the buy-in of the top management needs to be there, and a bit of mindset change
okay.
from all the tiers. So
okay.
That is how we are going to do it.
Brilliant. Okay. With any of these, there's more to be done in your experiments. So there's more definitions. This is the first part. Thank you for that. Thank you. Good. Okay. Your team.
We focus on the high turnover stuff.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
High turnover stuff.
High turnover stuff. Okay. Yeah. Big problem.
Some kind of symptoms, a negative environment,
yeah.
Job insecurity, work disruption. So people just being suddenly, no transparency.
Right.
So obviously, co-proposal experiment again, which perspective we are taking. I think we have to take leadership perspective.
Yes. Yeah. Indeed.
So we cannot do that. And this should take like 2 years. And we talked about the proposal, or the aspect that we focus as a solution or approach to solve this through governance first,
okay.
and through feedback loops, this go-see, transparency decision making, people well-being in terms of psychological safety, ensuring psychological safety, gratitude, transparent, compensation, and minor conflict, and also the other dimensions, people advocacy. So feedback culture, role flexibility, coaching and mentorship, and team ownership.
Okay, we'll pause there because the intention is to go through the whole thing, but we get a good flavour of your experiment. 2 years is a long time, right? So the question is like, how can we potentially, not for you to answer this rhetorical, how can we potentially make that into a smaller experiment to see if it's going to work? Because we might learn something from feedback, which means we can adjust.
But we want quarter review.
Quarterly reviews, okay.
Review and also reflection.
Okay, all right, wonderful, excellent. Thank you so much. Last team. Well, we've got a team at the back as well that just joined us, so you can share as well. But let's start with this team here. and then we'll get your idea.
Okay, so the main intentions were we are a feature factory and priorities are identity.
Okay.
We went with the competitor analysis, the MVP, and the needs to understand the market for the product strategy.
Yeah.
Understand the market. We actually we're doing it a bit differently. So now reflecting on what the other teams did,
yeah.
we're just going through actually redoing the whole thing, redoing the whole market research, competitive analysis,
right. Okay.
interviews,
right.
then learn from what we're building, validate what we build.
Customer validation, yeah.
The product solve.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what we
discovery, yeah. Okay.
We couldn't like define what actually caused the reason here, not like focusing on the main reason behind this.
Yeah. Sure. Sometimes we can see probably what's broken and what we're trying to fix. I'll stop there if that's all right, just to get this team at the back. Thank you so much. Do you want to share literally 1 minute of just the tension you chose and the pattern you're going with?
So we chose fixation on utilization.
Fixation on utilization, okay. Everyone has to be 110% utilized always, every time, every day, right?
Yes.
That's the experiment. Sorry, no, go on. I'm joking. Okay, what pattern went with that? Did you manage to see?
So pattern, time boxing and managed flow.
Okay, managing flow is quite a deep one actually, yeah. Some of these, thank you, I'll stop there with you because obviously thank you for that. Some of these patterns are quite deep, they go a lot deeper. I will stop there. Sugar. What I would like to just know briefly from anybody is challenges and advantages of this approach, this process. You know, did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Irrespective of enjoyment, do you think it's valuable? Do you think it could work in organizations? Do you think it adds value in any other way? Who'd like to just share some brief thoughts?
I felt like our challenges and the issues are not, we're not alone, so.
No one's alone.
Validation.
Validation, yeah, we're all together in this, yeah.
Yeah, I felt I'm not alone.
Yeah, of course you're not alone. It's sorry, what's that?
It's a human nature.
Human nature, yeah.
I found this very methodical, basically.
Yeah.
And, because it can be categorized.
Sure.
For each categorization, there is basically a certain pattern that you recognize.
Yeah.
Which gives us at least two to start with.
Right. That's the intention. The intention isn't for you to work through this like a methodical, procedural workflow or a scaling framework. This is far from it. This is not what this is. This is a conduit for you to decide what experiments, what tensions matter to you and what experiments to run. And then beyond that, you 1 minute, you decide, yeah. Any others? That's for you? Yes, please.
I think we need to design a more concrete experiments, like steps and
yes.
controls and everything. Maybe we didn't have time now.
Correct.
But I believe like the first here are generics. We need to treat
of course.
actions.
Yeah, and the idea is that experiment template you've got, that's the first starting point. That isn't like, okay, we're on with this. That's your offer, actually, to the organization in your process. And then beyond that, you might go even a step further and design it a bit more in a bit more detailed way, quarterly reviews or whatever it might be, and then you decide on the feedback. I have to stop it there just because people are waving at me. I just want to say thank you very much. If this goes up, I'll just do that here. Thank you very much for your efforts and your listening and your focus in the session. There's some QR codes there. The top one is our LinkedIn page for our company. This bottom one is the actual primer, the Enterprise Agility Primer, which it's about 56 pages. The first 6 pages talks about the concepts and the things we were talking about. The remaining 50-odd pages are just these cards, the tensions and patterns cards and the kind of things we focus on. If you enjoy it, use it, apply it, tell us how you get on. But other than that, have a good rest of the session and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it.